Hi, this week my group will introduce the current situation of Banff's ecotourism and its related topics. So first, what is ecotourism? According to the Global Ecotourism Network, it refers to responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment, sustains the well-being of the local people, and creates knowledge and understanding through interpretation and education of all involved. In simple words, it is tourism that centers around awareness of the environment and the local community. And ecotourism usually involves travels to places where animals, plants, and cultural heritage are the main attractions. It aims to provide tourists with an in-depth understanding of the impact of humans on the environment and to promote a better understanding of our natural habitat. Well, properly regulated ecotourism can be a good thing, but without proper planning, ecotourism can have a negative impact. And today we'll be focused on the case study of Banff National Park as well as the related social issues it is facing. We will first talk about the role of Banff as a national park and protected area, and as a great popular tourist destination, we will figure out its circumstances of wilderness tourism, sustainable tourism, and volunteerism. So, as a national park, its primary objectives involve protecting natural biodiversity along with its underlying ecological structure and supporting environmental processes and to promote education and recreation. Other objectives include to manage the area to keep it as natural as possible, to maintain visible and ecologically functional population of native species, to consider the needs of indigenous people and local communities, to contribute to local economies through tourism, and so on. Banff National Park was established in 1885, which was the first protected area in Canada. Tourism in Banff contributes an estimated 6 billion Canadian dollars annually to the economy. It is famous for its colored lakes, grand mountains, and outdoor adventures. You can see the pictures at the bottom. We can prove how beautiful it is. It has a rich heritage and has been designated as a World Heritage Site in 1984 by UNESCO. So the cultural heritage here is one of the main attractions of tourists, which further promotes ecotourism. The ecological restoration in Banff provides a way of slowing or reserving ecosystem degradation. Through re-establishing healthy natural ecosystems, restoration also provides opportunities for Canadians to develop a positive and long-lasting sense of personal connection with nature, which further encourages the ecosystem in Banff. Ecotourism indeed provides benefits to visitors, local economies, and national identity, but it also has drawbacks. There are three main sources of impact left on national parks by tourists: depletion of national resources, pollution, and physical impact. Tourism generates land degradation, air and noise pollution, littering, trampling, and alternation of ecosystems. All of these impacts not only risk the well-being of the land, but also the species live in it. Some examples could be such tourist facilities, such as like a bathroom, which impact the land and reduces some of the natural landscape of the area. Cars and recreational baths cause more noise pollution, both bothers human and animals. Whatever, there's a lot of debate on whether ecotourism is benefiting protected area. Therefore, a proper management is really important to not hurt the environment.
The second part that I want to talk about is wilderness tourism. Next slide, please. So, what is wilderness? It is defined as undeveloped land with minimal human imprints. The 1964 U.S. Wilderness Act defines wilderness as a place for tourists to visit briefly. Wilderness areas include protected areas, estates, national forests, and parks, which are important for wild animals. In recent years, it is increasingly seen as a consumer product, which is conferred in modern tourism practices and marketing. Next slide, please. When we travel in the wilderness, we will see many wild animals in Banff, because Banff National Park is one of the best places to observe wildlife in Canada. It provides habitat for many wild animals. Some representative wild animals such as elk, big horse sheep, grizzly bear live here all year round. But with the increase in the number of tourists, the lives of these wild animals are disturbed. To help Banff National Park maintain a healthy animal population, tourists should to avoid approaching or feeding wild animals, which is illegal in the national park. Meanwhile, tourists should stay on the indicated path and keep their campsite clean. Next slide, please. With the development in recent years, wilderness tourism has gradually become a population adventure for tourists. In many countries, it has begun to become their economic pillars. In Banff, wilderness exploration and hiking are activities that many tourists enjoy. For wilderness lovers, these wilderness sports bring freshness to their lives and make them more adventurous. The vast wildlands are of great significance to humans because it provides rich biodiversity, but we also have a great impact on it. As the global temperature changes, many organisms are facing endangered, so we need to reflect on how to preserve these ecological environments.
As tourism continues to flourish all over the world, many protected places in the world are struggling to find ways to manage visitors, and the Banff National Park is no exception. So what does sustainability mean to Banff? The town of Banff has the opportunity and the obligation to be a sustainable national park community, which means they want to encourage exploration while preserving the park for future generations. They want to be a model for environmental management, sustainable development, and tourism. So that sustainable development of tourism is not only a difficult task, it also needs to consume a lot of time, money, and energy. I'm going to analyze some social issues to explain what kind of efforts that Banff needs to make in order to pursue sustainable tourism. Since the 19th century, humans have affected Banff's environment through human activities, such as introducing non-native species, controlling other species, and developing bow valleys. For example, elk is not a native animal of Banff, but in 1917, 57 elk were introduced to Banff from Yellowstone National Park, caused an imbalance in the ecosystem and the control of wolves. Also, bison once lived in the valleys of Banff, but were hunted by indigenous people, and the last bison were killed off in the 1850s. Banff National Park is visited by more than 4 million people each year, and despite being one of Canada's most popular tourist destinations, there are 3.8 million annual visitors in Banff, and 93% arrive in private vehicles. This brings about preventing the animals from migrating and climate change due to greenhouse emissions. This means that traffic congestion has become a social problem that requires a lot of time and resources. Banff visitors show unrespectful actions to animals in any ways, such as they feed, lure, or disturb wild animals without permissions, leading to animal extinction. Wild animals will also eat garbage and start looking for other sources of human food. So if visitors who do not throw their garbage and waste into wildlife-proof bins, this will not only affect the ecological environment of Banff, but also put wild animals at risk, further accelerating their extinction rate. Here is an online resource written by Banff and Lake Louise alike. It is a guideline for introducing sustainable development in Banff National Park. It briefly shows how to make the transportation and business sustainable in Banff and Lake Louise. For instance, people could take buses called On It to enjoy their visit to the mountains. Meanwhile, it could reduce the number of vehicles on the road. Also, the related member businesses could achieve their sustainable business through the Canada National Parks Act. In addition, encouraging visitors to use local bicycles or to walk by foot to reduce the parking time limit, traffic congestion, and greenhouse emissions. It also offers initiatives to reduce garbage and waste. To protect the ecological system of Banff and animal safety, also provides several tips for respecting wildlife and keeping both visitors and wildlife safety.
The fourth part is volunteerism. Banff Park is a community dedicated to leadership, motivation, training, and guidance. The Banff National Park Volunteer Program provides a series of opportunities for Canadian and international tourists to participate in learning and practicing park management activities. By combining vacations with voluntary services, people can serve Banff as volunteers and contribute to Banff's tourism. At the same time, for the tourists themselves, they can also get a better understanding of Banff and have extra fun. Banff's voluntary travel plan runs through the late spring and summer. Next, I want to elaborate on Banff's volunteer activities. Volunteers can hike and report trail conditions, interact with tourists, observe and report park violations and wildlife sightings. It also patrols daily use areas and waypoints to maintain wild animal fences. It can also assist in environmental science research and monitoring projects, help with restoration projects, including removal of invasive species, cleanup, and local planting. Some humanities activities are also significant. Volunteers need to participate in and help special events, cultural heritage programs, indigenous ceremonies, and social sciences. They also need to publish these events. However, there are advantages and disadvantages in the public welfare tourism industry. How to weigh them is very important to the development of Banff tourism. On the bright side, the Banff community has received much needed help in completing humanitarian projects. Furthermore, the influx of tourists has injected wealth into the area and increased the maintenance funds. For travelers, they have gained incredible humanitarian experience, which can even inspire careers in the field. In addition, some organizations provide fee or subsidized board and lodging, which alleviates the financial pressure of some travelers. The downside is that tourists can exhaust the resources needed by the locals, and some tourists voluntarily participate in projects that do not match their skills. In other words, these tourists do not have the skills and the knowledge about the projects. This may not be helpful, but a kind of harm. Some of these charities provide volunteer projects to replace the jobs of local workers, which undoubtedly puts more substantial employment pressure on local workers. Weighing the pros and cons, and actively implementing measures to improve can make voluntarism better promote Banff's tourism industry. These are the 4 discussion questions. You guys can discuss later, and here is our references. Thank you.